basketball. This afternoon from the Rutgers Athletic Center in Piscataway, it's a top 20 Big Ten conference matchup as the Maryland Terrapins, ranked 10th in the nation, take on the 20th ranked Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Hello again, everyone. Lou Brogno with you on the call alongside is Dom Savino. We welcome you to the rack, which should be electric today for this huge matchup in the Big Ten Conference, a battle for first place. Maryland currently sitting a half game ahead of the Scarlet Knights, and Rutgers, though, with a big win over Maryland already this season on New Year's Eve day down in College Park.
I mean, a huge win for Rutgers, their landmark win of this season. As we take a look at the Big Ten standings, only a half game separating these two teams, the only two lost teams in the conference. But Iowa's sitting up there as well. Michigan State, 6-5, but still ranked. We've said all season long this is a stacked Big Ten conference. We're going to find out today who's going to come out of Sunday in the top spot.
And a special day today here at the Rutgers Athletic Center. It is Play for K Day in memory of former North Carolina State head coach, the late Kay Yow.
I mean, Kay Yow is the epitome of perseverance, a complete tactician. 38 years as the head coach at NC State. Battled breast cancer on and off for more than 22 years. Really an honor for all of us here at Rutgers and at the Rack to honor her memory today.
So big game today here at the Rack. First place on the line in the Big Ten. Opening tip just moments away here on BTN Plus. At the Rutgers Athletic Center, huge crowd on hand for a big game in the Big Ten. Maryland coming in ranked 10th in the nation, 21-2, 10-2 in the conference. The Scarlet Knights, 20th in the nation at 17-5, 9-2 in the Big Ten. At stake, first place in the Big Ten Conference.
We talk so much about how this Rutgers team is so successful at home. They're 11-0, one of only a handful of teams left in Division I women's basketball, unbeaten on their home floors. Rutgers will have the weight of a packed rack behind it today. And for all those 50-50 balls and aggressiveness on the glass and things like that, Rutgers will have that extra edge of motivation.
Maryland leads the all-time series 25-12, but as we mentioned earlier, Rutgers defeated the Terrapins 73-65 on New Year's Eve afternoon in College Park. Rutgers in their home white, Maryland in their road black uniforms trimmed with gold and red. And you can feel the electricity here in the building already. We're ready to go. Maryland and Rutgers for first place in the Big Ten. And the opening tip controlled by the Scarlet Knights, who will move left to right on your screen. CC Cryer brings it up for RU. Flips it outside to Sierra Calhoun. Calhoun getting the start today. There is Sharice Wilson, top of the key. Cryer. Maryland extends the D. Calhoun pops a three off the mark. And the rebound pulled down by Shakira Austin, the impressive freshman for the Terrapins. Blair Watson's pass over to Austin. Back outside. Here's a three. Good. Drilled by Taylor Mikesell. And the Terrapins take an early 3-0 lead.
And Lou, we've already seen one of the biggest keys in today's game, and it's three-point shooting. This is one of the best three-point shooting teams in the conference in Maryland. Taylor Mikesell has hit more threes than any player in the conference. And when she gets this wide open, she's able to knock down her 71st of the season. Rutgers, on the other hand, just 19% from deep in its last two games.
Maryland shooting 38% from beyond the arc. Here's Stacia Carey, dribbles in and dribbles into three Maryland defenders. And the Terrapins come back the other way. Here's Mikesell. Taylor Mikesell, a freshman at Massillon, Ohio, a McDonald's All-American nominee. Scored 2,000 points in high school. Once scored 60 points in one game. Three-point shot outside. Good. Blair Watson, the New Jersey native out of Nutley, the all-time leading scorer there. So Maryland off to a sparkling start. They lead at 6-0. Here's Calhoun with a three. It doesn't go, and the rebound pulled down by the Terps.
Here's the thing. Rutgers plays very well at home, but some of the games we've seen lately at the Rack, they've gotten off to slow starts, and you can add this to the list.
And then underneath, shot put up, and a foul on the Scarlet Knights. Shakira Austin crashing the boards, and she'll go to the line.
This is the three from Blair Watson. Not a bad contest from Charisse Wilson, but Watson able to hoist it over her. And again, for Rutgers, you think back to the Indiana game, the Michigan State game, both in the last few weeks here at the RAC. C. Vivian Stringer had to take a timeout in the first 3 minutes of both of those contests because Rutgers, in the blink of an eye, was down a couple of buckets. Haven't seen a timeout yet from C. Viv. One of the 2 shots that Maryland has had was contested well, but not a great start for RU.
Austin hits 1 of 2, and Maryland off to a 7-0 run to start the game. Full court pressure by the Terrapins. Sierra Calhoun, double teamed in the corner, gets it outside to CC Cryer.
This Maryland defense, you see already coming up towards midcourt, not afraid to be aggressive.
10 seconds now on the shot clock. Here's Calhoun. Rutgers has not taken a good shot in their first 2 possessions. Here comes Cryer, who throws it away. Taken by Stephanie Jones. Up ahead, Watson flips it inside. Austin trying to dump it over her shoulder. And Stacia Carey picks it off.
That is great defensive work. Charisse Wilson was the only person to meet Shakira Austin. Shakira Austin is 6'5", and Wilson still did a pretty decent job of forcing her to give the ball up.
Cryer. Calhoun comes out to get the pass. Bounce pass over to Cryer. Dribbles in. CC Cryer puts it up and in off the glass. And Rutgers on the board.
Rutgers would love to get CC Cryer going, especially considering Arella Garantes will come off the bench in this one. Rutgers' second leading scorer who hurt her ankle but is available for today's game. Cryer just 5 points against Minnesota in the loss Sunday.
7-2 Maryland. Terrapins with possession. 15 on the shot clock. Mike Sell comes out to get the pass. Dribbles in. Floats it up. Can't go. And the ball goes off of Maryland as Victoria Harris was in position to get the rebound for the Scarlet Knights. Brianna Frazier checks into the game, the senior out of Brooklyn for Maryland. First substitution of the game. 6:53 remaining in the first quarter. And Maryland with a 5-point lead. They're up 7-2. CC Cryer goes to Calhoun on the right wing. Sierra Calhoun, the transfer from Ohio State, graduate student, leaves it for Charisse Wilson. Calhoun gets around the screen, puts it up off the front rim, can't hit. Mike Sell almost lost the handle in the backcourt.
Again, not a great shot from Calhoun. Step back, you still had a couple seconds on the shot clock. You would much rather see Rutgers try to move the ball more and break away a little bit from the intense defense from Maryland.
This is Stephanie Jones, flips it outside on the baseline, and that's an offensive foul called against Brianna Frazier.
Great footwork there from Stacia Carey. She gave up the baseline initially, which you do not want to do to anybody, but was able to slide over, get in front of Frazier, and take the charge.
Maryland's second team foul here in the first. Just over 4 minutes gone by. Sierra Calhoun flips it out to Cryer. Rutgers not with Arella Garantes in the lineup, the starting lineup, so they're missing a little bit of offense. Garantes may be able to go in this game, but not in the starting lineup.
Yeah, the word is she participated in the shoot-around today as normal. Remember, she sprained her ankle, she rolled her ankle, I should say, against Minnesota on Sunday. Available for this one, all the word that we've gotten is that she's good to go.
Meanwhile, Maryland has a 5-point lead from the foul line. The jump shot, in and out, tapped up. Rebound controlled by Stacia Carey, who averages 6 rebounds a game for the Scarlet Knights. And Cryer brings it up. Rutgers, slow start offensively. Here is Charisse Wilson, top of the key. Bounce pass into Carey, lost the dribble momentarily, then puts up a wild shot underneath. And Maryland comes up quickly. Mike Sell pulls up for the jumper. No. Rebound knocked around off of Rutgers, Victoria Harris. And there's a timeout on the floor. 4 minutes, 57 seconds remaining first quarter. Maryland up by 5 early. Terrapins lead at 7-2 on BTN+. A slow start for the Scarlet Knights offensively, just 1 of 5 from the field, and they are down by 5 early to the Terrapins.
not a great start for Rutgers, but you've got to be happy if you're RU that you're within 5 after going a 1 of 5 from the floor. Got a feeling that what C. Vivian Stringer had to say in the huddle was not all that calm. Let's put it that way. Definitely want to see more movement, more ball movement, more passing on the offensive end, because with Maryland in his high-pressure defense, Rutgers needs to get him off their backs, essentially.
Ball knocked away, and that'll be a jump ball. It'll be Maryland's on the alternating arrow.
Ooh, I think Victoria Harris had that ball jarred free when the whistle blew, and I've got a feeling that is exactly what C. Vivian Stringer is saying right now.
Maryland to inbound. They have 20 seconds on the shot clock. This is Blair Watson, who flips in the corner. Mike Sell trying to take the baseline double team. Brings it back outside. Mike Sell, the McDonald's All-American nominee in high school, had 18 points in the first meeting against Rutgers, and then driving in and forcing up that shot, but last touched by Rutgers. Maryland fortunate to get that back. Stephanie Jones just kind of threw it at the basket.
Wonderful work, though, by Vicki Harris. Straight up playing perfect defense.
Terps have just 2 seconds on the shot clock, and then a foul inside on Rutgers.
And it's on Harris. Instantly after, she made a great play defensively. She was straight up, took the contact right in the chest, getting a little too physical there, trying to keep Brianna Frazier away from the basket.
In the game comes Takia Mack, and Victoria Harris will come out. Takia Mack, the sophomore out of Chicago. Not a good foul there. There's only 2 seconds on the shot clock. Now Maryland gets a fresh 30.
And already for Harris, that's 2 personal fouls. Rutgers strapped a little bit in post depth with Caitlin Jenkins out indefinitely. So having Vicki Harris out, one of the biggest players on this team now, it's not helpful.
Kyla Charles inbounds for Maryland, and another foul on Rutgers. This will be on Charisse Wilson.
Well, Rutgers is working hard on defense. We can see that. We'll take a second look at this. That's Wilson getting caught up a little bit by the charge, and it looked like she almost tried to catch herself as she was falling to the floor and tried to take Watson down with her.
Scarlet Knights piling up some fouls, though, early. That's 4. One more, and the Terps will be shooting free throws here in this first quarter. Lewis dribbling around in the paint. Turnaround jumper. Good. Shanice Lewis with a beautiful shot. Rather, Kyla Charles with the shot, not Lewis. So Kyla Charles, who averages 16 points a game, gives Maryland a 7-point lead.
Great hustle there by Takia Mack, by the way. Nearly took out a couple of people watching the game down on the baseline, but was able to save that pass.
Only 3 on the shot clock. 3-point shot doesn't go. And the rebound pulled down by Stephanie Jones. Here comes Maryland. Quickly up court. Outside, Watson for 3. Off the back rim. CC Cryer pulls down the rebound. Rutgers trying to run, but they turn it over, and Watson lays it up and draws the foul. That's the 15th foul on the Scarlet Knights.
Again, things for Rutgers in the early goings not going well, because CC Cryer's trying to spark the break right behind Stacia Carey. Blair Watson on her hip and dribbles it off a foot. It may have been Carey's foot, in fact, that she dribbled it off of. And that gives up the easy look.
Blair Watson at the line, hits the free throw. Watson, a 95% free throw shooter. All-time leading scorer at Nutley High School here in the Garden State, 2,127 points. Head coach C. Vivian Stringer, her 24th season at RU, her 48th overall, 1,014 career victories. And at the other side, Brenda Fries, who's done a tremendous job for Maryland as well. One-time National Coach of the Year in 2002, and they won it all in 2006.
And talking to Brenda Fries before today's game, she said she actually likes these busy stretches that Maryland is in. This is their 3rd game in a week, but she said we're in a great groove, and of course it helps to go through this stretch when you've won 6 in a row.
And Carey loses the dribble. This is Shanice Lewis. Outside, Charles takes the jumper, doesn't go. Watson gets a big rebound. And a fresh shot clock for the Terps. Bounce pass inside, Stephanie Jones. Maryland has a 10-point lead. They're up 12-2.
I'm curious to see now for Rutgers on the offensive end. You've got Zippy Broughton in. Arella Garantes is on the floor for the first time as well. It's a bit of a smaller look with Carey at the 5. Can you find some sort of offense?
Nice drive, but that shot way off the mark. And a foul called on Maryland underneath. Sharice Wilson took the drive. And Takia Mack shaken up.
Let's take a second look here. Sharice Wilson, she's somebody who's not afraid to draw contact, and we know Takia Mack, she's like the spark plug for this team. She's just got so much energy whenever she comes on the floor, and now she does not look to be A-OK hobbling off the floor. And in a game where Rutgers is down by 10, has had troubles on the offensive end, and he's trying to keep Maryland in front of it defensively, you really want to have Takia Mack on the court. Well, it looks like she's just going to get taped up or wound up, get a little brace over there.
Yeah, because Coach Stringer did not send in a substitution.
Yeah, it looks like maybe that's some gauze on her right elbow. Remember back at the start of the season, Takia Mack missed the first 3 games of the season with an injured elbow, so he's had a little bit of an injury bug this season.
And Takia back out there on the floor. Mike Sell comes in, Taylor Mike Sell for Maryland. Rutgers will inbound baseline. Scarlet Knights have scored just 2 points here in this first quarter. Here is Arella Garantes, double teamed as it's slapped away. Carey in the corner. Stacia Carey spinning, twisting, puts it up, doesn't go, gets her own rebound, and it doesn't go.
Been that kind of first quarter for Rutgers.
3-point shot off the back rim, no. And a foul called on Rutgers underneath.
Man, Carey had 2 great looks at the basket, and both of them just off the iron. And then Rutgers able to force the miss. We'll see if we can get a second look at the rebounding action. But Rutgers, like you mentioned, they're picking up some foul trouble. Here's Carey on the other end. This second look. I mean, that swirls around. You figure at home, Carey's the go-to, maybe get a basket to drop finally. But the rims have not been friendly in this opening quarter.
Kyla Charles at the line. One-time McDonald's All-American out of high school, averaging 16 points, 6.2 rebounds, 82% free throw shooter. Gives Maryland a huge 12-point lead, 14-2. Just about the worst start that the Scarlet Knights could have hoped for here at home.
Easily, and again, Lou, it may sound crazy to say this with Rutgers down by a dozen, but you think back to the first meeting between these two teams, Rutgers led after the first quarter 28-24. So the fact that Rutgers is 1 of 9 right now from the floor and only down a dozen, I think is fortuitous.
Big hill to climb for the Scarlet Knights, but a long way to go. Here's Zippy Broughton, double teamed inside. Good look to Carey. You can't connect. And that is what the first quarter has been all about for the Scarlet Knights. Inside, wide open, easily scoring Stephanie Jones. 16-2, Maryland. Garantes dribbles in, floats it up, dances off the rim. Basket absolutely has a lid on it for Rutgers here in this first quarter.
And this may sound crazy, but the last 3 offensive possessions have produced good looks for Rutgers. They've all been layups. And on paper, you will take that 10 out of 10 times with this team. But none of them went in.
Meanwhile, Maryland is pulling away in a hurry. They are leaving Rutgers in the rearview mirror at the moment. 16-2. And at the line, Stephanie Jones, averaging just under 13 points a game, has had a terrific year. coming off a good game against Northwestern, 16 points and 10 rebounds. And she hits the first, she'll get another. Maryland comes in, they're hot. They've won 6 straight, coming off the win over the Wildcats, 72-57. They've lost just twice this year, Michigan State, and of course the other loss was to Rutgers at home. And the second on the way, good. It's a 16-point Maryland lead, 18-2. This crowd here at the Rack stunned.
They are, and for Rutgers, to get back into this game, you've got to remember, there's no 16-point basket that you can hit. You got to do this brick by brick to get back into this game. It starts with getting good looks offensively, and I guess more importantly, having them go in, and then getting some stops on the defensive end.
Mael Giles breaks the press, but then Mack takes an extra step and travels. Maryland full court pressure defense causing the turnover. So the Terrapins will bring it up with a 16-point lead. Mike Sell up top. Charles dribbles in, flips it back out. Vujicic. And a 3-second violation called on Maryland.
Good work by Rutgers defensively. And for this team, that's where it started all year, getting a lot of offense from its defense. And now, can you end the frame on a made basket maybe? Rutgers 1 of 11 from the floor in the first quarter.
Charisse Wilson. Up top. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Zippy Broughton. Giles cutting. Good look inside to Garantes. Beautiful pass. 18-4 at the buzzer. Oh, that shot just skipped off of the rim. And the first quarter comes to an end. A tremendous first quarter for the visiting Maryland Terrapins. And at the end of one, Maryland has an 18-4 lead here on PTN Plus. Back at the Rack in front of a big crowd on this Sunday afternoon. The battle for first place in the Big Ten right now being won by Maryland. Rutgers had a couple of moments, but Maryland defense just tough.
Rutgers shooting 2 of 12 from the floor in the opening quarter. The Scarlet Knights, especially late in that first quarter, got some good looks. You saw Stacia Carey. She had 3 looks at pretty decent layups. Arella Garantes not starting into the game later in the first quarter had a good look. The one thing I did like, Lou, is that final possession to get a basket. Rutgers had some good ball movement. Takia Mack cutting to the basket, finding Arella Garantes wide open block-to-block passing. Rutgers needs to build off that and get a lot more of that in the second quarter.
Scarlet Knights have lost just twice in the conference. They lost to Iowa. Both games were on the road, 72-66, and the last game 60-46 at Minnesota. Rutgers undefeated here at the Rack this year, 11-0, and 43-3 the last 2 years. So this is not a common occurrence in front of these RU fans. But again, there's a long way to go. Second quarter just beginning. Charisse Wilson, RU facing a 14-point deficit. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Charisse Wilson
looking for a screen or something.
Now she takes a long 3 off the mark and hustling to get that rebound. Takia Mack lays it in.
And Rutgers coming with some press out of the made basket. We didn't see Rutgers press much at all in the first game against Maryland down in College Park.
Mike Sell could not hit that. Takia Mack drives to the hoop, puts it up, and draws the foul. Oh, they're going to call an offensive foul.
It looked like Takia Mack was trying to break out the Euro step, which I don't think I've seen her do this season, because she saw right in front of her that the charge was pretty evident.
And Rutgers was not back on defense. Not alert that time.
Now, this is a very smart Maryland team. We've seen it all season long, and they identified it instantly, got the ball over half court in one pass.
Zippy Broughton for 3. No. Rebound underneath. Giles. Mael Giles with a strong rebound. Rutgers has gotten some spark off the bench. Giles and Mack have come in and provided a little life. So Mael Giles to the line, sophomore out of Montreal, member of the Canadian junior national team, hits the first.
Remember, Lou, back to the season opener, Mael Giles. So she had a huge game, a career game, 13 points, 16 rebounds. Since then, we really have not seen all that much from Mael Giles. But you wonder, in a game like this where the rotations are all out of whack and things like that, can somebody like Giles, who's kind of been quiet lately, provide some of that spark on the offensive end?
12-point lead for Maryland, 20-8. Full court pressure by the Scarlet Knights. CC Cryer going for the steal, and now the Terrapins will settle down. Maryland offensively averaging over 76 points per game. That's third best in the Big Ten. And underneath, they get an opportunity but can't score. Stacia Carey pulls down the rebound. Zippy Broughton flying up the court.
And Maryland's probably saying, hey, wait a second. Those types of layups are supposed to happen to Rutgers. That hit every single part of the rim except for the nylon.
Good look inside. That bounce pass, though, gets away from Giles. Coach Stringer applauds the effort, though. She liked the nice, crisp passing. That goes off of the Terps, and Rutgers gets it back. Shakira Austin checks back into the game for Maryland. Carey double teamed. Finds Giles. Puts the brakes on.
Take it to the basket. She had an open path in front of her, and if you get that final defender, Frazier, to collapse on you, kick it out, because somebody's got to be open if you're one-on-one in the paint.
5 seconds on the shot clock. Garantes double teamed. Dribbles in from the foul line. Can't connect. Crashes in, and it goes off of Rutgers. It'll be Maryland ball.
Garantes did well enough just to create a decent shot. You see Brenda Fries. I don't think she's a total fan of how this second quarter has started, as Rutgers has come out, applied some pressure. Maryland has had a couple of looks it hasn't been able to hit so far.
Brenda Fries, over 500 career wins. Mentioned they won the national championship in 2006. She's been to 3 Final Fours, 14 NCAA tournament appearances for Maryland, one of the top programs in the nation. Almost thrown away, and yes, Shakira Austin took an extra step trying to find the handle in the paint.
Rutgers, once again, great defense. They got the double team on the baseline, and then when Austin got the ball, instantly somebody up to greet her. Because if you let Austin and some of these bigs for Maryland get any sort of space in the paint, usually it results in a made basket.
Zippy Broughton bounce pass to Garantes, who lays it in. So Rutgers gets an easy bucket, and Brenda Fries calls a timeout. She wants to talk it over. Rutgers cuts the deficit to 10. 7:02 remaining here. Zippy Broughton giving the Scarlet Knights a little bit of life. 7:02 remaining in the second. Maryland up by 10. The rack Scarlet Knights have cut the deficit to 10. At one point they were down by as many as 18 points actually. So Brenda Fries in her 17th season as the head coach of Maryland sees things beginning to turn a little bit, calls a timeout, and it will be Terrapins basketball. Full court pressure by the Scarlet Knights. Ball knocked away, stolen by Garantes, puts it up and in. Again, full court pressure. Rutgers has whittled the deficit down, and Rutgers stole it but stepped on the out-of-bounds line. RU has brought the deficit down to single digits now. It's 20-12.
This is a completely different Rutgers team in the second quarter. Offensively, passing the ball better. Defensively, sliding faster, getting out quicker. And it certainly helped when the 55 press produces a basket or two.
Scarlet Knights trying to climb a big hill and creep back into this game. A lot of time left. 6:35 left in the second. But Sarah Vujacic buries a three-point shot from the corner, a 38% three-point shooter.
And that's just a defensive collapse from Rutgers. Maryland is chock full of three-point shooters. If you leave them open, people like her, Mike Sell, it's going to be a long night.
Bounce pass inside, Carey puts it up and in. Stacia Carey getting position. And the ball knocked out by the Scarlet Knights. Kyla Charles checks back into the game for Maryland.
It's kind of an odd angle inbounds here. I really don't envy Maryland on this angle.
They do get it into Mike Sell, who flips it up ahead. Stephanie Jones helps out, and Mike Sell gets it across the midcourt line. Now double teamed, trapped on the sideline. Maryland breaks loose, and it's put up and in by Charles. Good job by the Terps.
That's part of the reason why you bring Charles back on the floor. So versatile.
And Giles running the court the other way gives Rutgers a quick bucket. 9-point Maryland lead, 25-16. End-to-end action right now. Wow. Stephanie Jones answers. Again, it's an 11-point lead for the Terrapins, 27-16. Zippy Broughton flips it back outside, and Rutgers will slow things down for a moment.
Yeah, good decision. I don't think Rutgers wins if this turns into a track meet for 40 minutes. So you want to slow it down a little bit. You like to show pressure, but you want to play composed.
CC Cryer with 8 seconds on the shot clock pops a three. That might have been tipped. And Maryland coming back the other way. Charles gets a hold of it and scores. Well, CC Cryer went for the steal, but it got away from her. And once again, it's a 13-point lead for Maryland.
And that's not the first time already in this one where Cryer, in a mismatch situation, just tries to risk it all and go for the steal and comes up empty.
Rutgers got it down to 8, but Maryland has built it back up to a 13-point lead. Garantes for three. Yes! Aurela Garantes drills it from beyond the arc. And she brings Rutgers to within 10. Coming back the other way, Shanice Lewis pulls up for the jumper.
Maryland has done a tremendous job. Once they get past that initial pass or two out of the 55 and get it even foul line extended in their own backcourt, they've done a great job of going from there and getting down into the front court in a hurry and getting some mismatches for shots like that you'll take any day.
Here's Cryer, flips it in the corner. Broughton for three, off the rim. Rebound pulled down by Blair Watson. And Maryland the other way. Garantes almost able to get there in time for the steal. Noga Peleg-Pelk checks into the game for the Scarlet Knights, her first appearance of the contest.
And Peleg-Pelk, somebody who has been like Rutgers as a team from behind the arc lately. Just 4 of 17 from deep in her last 7 Big Ten games. Rutgers slumping from deep, so to see Garantes knock down a three like that is encouraging. Rutgers could use some more.
Trying to force her way in is Kyla Charles, and Peleg-Pelk brings it up here for the Scarlet Knights. Are you down by 12? 31-19. I think it's safe to say here, Don, Rutgers would like to get it down to single digits heading into halftime. Giles has that knocked away. Ball loose, still on the ground, and that will be a jump ball.
Wow.
Should be Maryland's on the alternating possession.
That didn't seem like Giles had much of the ball. She had more of a bear hug around Kyla Charles, who's having herself a great start to this one with her team high 8 points. But I would say yes, Lou. You definitely want to trim this deficit to single digits going into the locker room. And kind of beyond that, you want to get some great offensive and defensive possessions that, again, you can build off of and say, hey, when we pass the ball 5 times and do this, we get a decent look offensively.
Good job by Stacia Carey. Knocks it away from Shakira Austin. And again, Rutgers a chance to cut it to 10. Maybe single digits with a three. Peleg-Pelk thought about the three. Bounce pass to Carey. Stacia Carey puts it up, can't score, and then could not get her own rebound as well, and Maryland will come back the other way.
And not an ideal start for Stacia Carey. 1 of 5 from the floor. They've all been great looks, all been layups. But for Rutgers' top scorer, who's led them in 4 of their last 5 games in scoring, she has not been at her best in these first 20 minutes.
Had 16 points against Minnesota. Had 18 points against the Terrapins in the first meeting this year. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Ball knocked away, and a foul called on Rutgers, and the RU fans are beside themselves.
Yeah, let's see. They got this on Peleg Pelk. She may have stuck her hand a little too deep in the cookie jar. Trying to come over, strip it away. Yep, great call. Easy call. Peleg Pelk got that left hand right on Kyla Charles' left forearm, and that's a foul that should be called 10 out of 10 times.
So Charles at the line, 82% free throw shooter. The junior out of Glendale, Maryland, misses the first.
Now, the one thing I will say, Lou, is great foul call, but very frustrating for the Scarlet Knights because you've got Charles trapped. Shot clock is under 5. You'd rather let her try to shoot over that double team than put her on the line.
And she hits 1 of 2. Again, the deficit is 13. 32-19. Remember, Rutgers had just 4 points in the first quarter. So it's been a much more productive second period.
Already 15 points in this quarter, and shooting 46% Rutgers is in the frame.
Sierra Calhoun up top. Peleg Pelk for 3. Way off the mark.
That's been the story for Peleg Pelk these last few games. Some of those looks that maybe back in the middle of the season you'd see her take and think instantly, oh, that's going in. They've just not been able to go in. And it's been frustrating for her. She was one of the first people out on the floor 2 hours before tip-off today, trying to get that three-pointer going. Got a decent look, but was well too strong.
Another foul called on Rutgers, their third team foul here in the second. Minute 46 remaining in the first half. Terrapins with the basketball and a 13-point lead. Reese Lewis gets it in. Mike Sell for 3. In and out.
Man, that was halfway down.
Therese Wilson gets it across. Flips it inside. Jordan Wallace in the game now. Puts it up off the glass and in. Big bucket for Jordan Wallace. Draws Rutgers to within 11. 32-21.
Takia Mack, 2 personal fouls. Vicky Harris, 2 personal fouls. Wallace is going to have to provide some big minutes.
And Stephanie Jones takes an extra step in the paint. Rutgers defense forces the turnover. Big possession here for Rutgers, as we mentioned. Just psychologically heading into the intermission, you'd like to get this down to single digits. A bucket here would cut it to 9.
Well, Rutgers doesn't work all that quickly offensively, but you got a chance with 1 minute and 5 seconds left to go 2 for 1. Get 2 good possessions, whether it's a three-pointer, a layup, whatever it is. Get 2 good looks.
Peleg Pelk almost lost the dribble. And it comes back outside. Here's Cryer, dribbles in, double-teamed. Outside Garantes. Garantes eyeing the bucket, but nowhere to go. Looking for some help. Now Peleg Pelk for 3. Off the back rim and over the backboard. 32-21.
And Garantes just dribbling too much, and by the time she realizes she's not going to be able to break off of that intense pressure defense she's got in her face, shot clock was already at 5.
35 seconds left. Differential of about 10 between the game clock and shot clock. So Rutgers will get the ball back. 15 on the clock. Here's Lewis trying to dribble in, double teamed, in trouble, flips it back outside. Stephanie Jones off the mark. Maryland gets it back, put up and in. Kyla Charles gives the Terps a 13-point lead. CC Cryer carries up. 3 seconds. Flips outside in the corner. Garantes puts it up. And no, it doesn't go. And Brenda Fries with a big clap of the hands as the buzzer sounds. Pleased with her team's effort in the first half. They head to the locker room on the road, up by 13.
Well, Rutgers cut it to 8 in this second quarter. A great start to the frame, but Maryland, 3 great final possessions. They get the second chance look, get the stop, on the defensive end, and the Terps have a lot to be happy about heading into the locker room.
Your score at halftime, Maryland 34, Rutgers 21. Second half upcoming on BTN+. Welcome back to the Rutgers Athletic Center on this Sunday afternoon. Matchup of two top 20 teams, and right now, 10th-ranked Maryland up by 13 over 20th-ranked Rutgers, 34-21. A look at the first half numbers, and they all favor the Terrapins, who shot almost 50% from the field. Rutgers 31%, which is remarkable because in the first quarter, Dom, they shot very poorly from the field.
Yeah, take a look at Rutgers' first two quarter splits from the floor. 17% in the first, 41% in the second, but Maryland played a far better 20 minutes. Kyla Charles, a game-high 11 points on 4 of 6 shooting. Also for Maryland, one of the top rebounding teams in the country. They were +9 on the glass. Brenda Fries, the Maryland head coach, told me before today's game, that is one of the big keys. Win the glass and win it resoundingly. And in the first 20 minutes, that's exactly what the Terps did.
Garantes with 9 points off the bench, 4 of 7 from the field, giving Rutgers some spark. There was some questions how effective she would be after being injured against Minnesota a week ago. She did not start today's game, but she did a nice job, gave Rutgers a little spark.
Yeah, Rutgers is definitely happy to have her. She's once or twice now this season rolled her ankle, and it seemed gruesome, and it kept her out of the final 20 minutes of that Minnesota game as the Golden Gophers went on the huge run. But for her, she participated in shoot-around. We knew she was available, and for her to come off the bench and provide the offense that Rutgers did not have in the first 10 minutes, the Scarlet Knights will only need more and more of that from Morella in the second half.
So Rutgers down by 13, and in case you're just joining us, at stake is first place in the Big Ten. Maryland currently has a half-game lead over the Scarlet Knights. They are 10-2 in the league. Rutgers at 9 up and 2 down in the conference, but keep in mind, Rutgers has already defeated Maryland down at College Park back on the 31st of December. So the Terrapins trying to even the score here and knock the Scarlet Knights off on their home floor, something no one has been able to do this year.
It's been going to be a busy day of Big Ten women's basketball as we see some of the highlights from this first half. 12 Big Ten teams are in action today. And for Maryland, the 3-ball was in action, 3 of 8 from the floor. All 3 of those looks fairly uncontested by Rutgers. One from Taylor Mikesell, one in the corner from Blair Watson, and the final one from Vujicic. Rutgers defensively got to continue what you did in the second quarter, get out better, be stronger in the paint, and then on the offensive end, continue to move the ball. That's the only way Rutgers will be able to get out of that intense defense from the Terps.
This Maryland team so difficult to defend. They are potent both in the paint and beyond the arc. 38% three-point shooting team, but they also have scored 48% of their points in the paint this year. So they can hit you inside or out. And there's Coach Stringer, whose defense did an outstanding job to get Rutgers back in it. But are you down by 13 with the first possession of the second half? Takia Mack to Cryer. Here's Arella Garantes, who does start the second half. CC Cryer dribbles in, trying to knife her way through 2 defenders and loses the ball out of bounds. Maryland gets it back.
I like the ball movement there, but Cryer trying to go off the bounce. Drew some contact, but no whistle on Watson. Couldn't see if she stuck a hand in too far.
So first possession of the second half for the Terrapins, and they bring it across. Blair Watson, the New Jersey native, flips it outside to the impressive freshman, Taylor Mikesell, averaging just over 14 points per game. And that jump shot good. Kyla Charles puts Maryland up by 15.
Slow closeout, and Kyla Charles just a walking matchup nightmare because she can knock it down from near the perimeter. We've seen what she can do in the post. Rutgers has to be all over her. They did a fairly good job of her against her on New Year's Eve in the win down in College Park, but today they have not done such a hot job.
Rutgers fortunate to get this ball back as Takia Mack tossed it inside. She was looking for Stacia Carey to break towards the hoop, and she did not. But Maryland touched the ball last. So Rutgers will have 9 seconds to work with. Garantes open, takes the jump shot, doesn't go. And Maryland comes up with the rebound. Fast break for the Terps. Up ahead, Watson lays it in. So just like that, Maryland off to a terrific start to begin the second half, and they go up by 17. Here's Stacia Carey, floats it up, can't score, and then reaches in. A little frustration foul there by Stacia Carey.
Now this first minute plus of the third quarter looks a lot like Rutgers did in the first quarter. They just don't have that same spark we saw in the second quarter where, after a couple baskets, you see some things go well, and that kind of provides the energy. Rutgers needs that energy for 20 minutes because when you're down to such a good team, you've got to put the pedal to the metal the entire time.
Terrapins break the full court press. 8:15 remaining, third quarter. Maryland back up by 17. Charles on the baseline, flips outside. Mike Sell for three. It spins in and out. And Carey pulls down the rebound behind the back dribble by Charisse Wilson.
Yeah, Mike Sell's had a couple of those roll in and out. One of 7 from the floor, one of 4 from deep.
Here's Wilson between the circles, 15 on the shot clock. Dumps it inside. Garantes, top of the key, and a foul. A hold away from the ball. And they'll call it on Shakira Austin. That's the first team foul, her second personal. And the Scarlet Knights with a fresh 30 will inbound on the baseline. Big crowd here today at the Rutgers Athletic Center. We don't have the official attendance mark yet, but just by sight, it would appear to be the largest crowd of the year.
Yeah, I'd say it would rival the 1,000th win for C. Vivian Stringer.
That crowd up over 5,000, just under 6 that night back in November. And a foul called on Rutgers. Gives the ball back to the Terrapins. Offensive foul. Good job defensively by Peleg Pelk.
I was just about to say, Maryland has really not seemed phased by the 55. There, Taylor Mike Sells, she's got some extra help. She doesn't need to try to bowl over Peleg Pelk or wedge past her on the sideline. You just want to see her get rid of that ball. And we know Taylor Mike Sell is so dynamite. She's been all season long, but get rid of that basketball.
Charisse Wilson with a nice drive, but could not finish. And that's been the storyline here today for the Knights. Down by 17. 7 minutes, 10 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. A lot of basketball to be played, but Maryland with a big lead. Bounce pass intercepted by Noga Peleg Pelk. Dribbles up, flips in the corner. Good ball movement by RU. Wilson for three, doesn't go. Stacia Carey with a strong rebound and bucket. Strong effort by Stacia Carey.
She is just tenacious. Stacia Carey has been the rock for Rutgers over these last few games. Grabs that offensive rebound, comes up strong, and in a game where Rutgers has not had the three-ball fall, Rutgers would love to get 3 on this conventional play. Also would love to get Carey going. She was just 2 points for her, just 1 of 5 from the floor in the opening half.
Stacia, a 73% free throw shooter, and her free throw is good. 3-point play draws Rutgers back to within 14. It's 38-24. Are you applying pressure, but Maryland breaks it?
You know, Lou, you think back to that Indiana game, the last home one for Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights were down 14 at one point, but they pressed the Hoosiers for the last 15 minutes consecutively and were able to get back and win. This is not the same team. Maryland just has too many good ball handlers to get 14, 20 points out of the press.
Peleg Pelk calls a timeout after stealing the basketball. Nice play by Rutgers. So a timeout on the floor. 6.5 remaining, third quarter. Maryland, at the moment, still in control. They lead it 38-24. Back at the rack, Rutgers down by 14. but still plenty of time left. 6.5 remaining in the third quarter.
See Stacia Carey, 5 points and 5 rebounds. Rutgers, if they're going to come back in this game, will need to get Stacia Carey going, simply because of, you look at Rutgers over the last 5 or so games, she's been the go-to scorer again. She's led Rutgers in 4 of their last 5 games in scoring. Get Carey going, make an impact in the post where Maryland has dominated teams all season long, and that may be a big way to get Rutgers into this game.
Aurela Garantes gives to Noga Peleg-Pelk. Flips it over to Wilson, who drives in behind the back dribble in traffic. And Maryland strips it away.
They do such a good job of just crowding the post, and they're able to turn turnovers into runouts like that.
And Stephanie Jones makes Rutgers pay for it. It's back up to a 16-point bulge for Maryland. Stacia Carey drives and scores.
The one thing that may help Rutgers in the post is the fact that Shakira Austin right now has 3 fouls and is not on the floor. That's not to say that there's nobody else for Maryland. There's plenty other options on the glass, including Brianna Frazier. But to have Shakira Austin, one of the top rebounders in the country, on the bench now with 3 fouls could help Rutgers.
Victoria Harris with the steal. And a foul called on Rutgers.
Man, Victoria Harris was starting to break away from Stephanie Jones when this whistle came. Let's take a second look. Harris gets in there with her right hand inside the left arm of Jones, and I think that's a good call because she makes too much contact to get that ball free in the first place.
Terps up by 14, 40-26. Three-pointer, Blair Watson drills it from outside. It's now back up to a 17-point lead, 43-26. Garantes dribbles in, floats it up, no, gets her own rebound, flips it outside. Charisse Wilson drives the lane, but can't score. Blair Watson, bounce pass goes out of bounds. And another timeout on the floor. 4 minutes, 48 seconds remaining in the third. Maryland in command. Terrapins up 43-26. Back at the rack, Maryland up by 17, 43-26. A Maryland victory would put them in solid position in first place in the Big Ten. And a Rutgers loss could drop them to third place in the conference. Iowa right now playing later on today against Ohio State. But remember, the Hawkeyes have defeated Rutgers earlier this season. Here's Victoria Harris. Charisse Wilson puts the brakes on, flips it back out. Still plenty of time left here, but Rutgers needs to make a big run to try to get this deficit down to single digits by the beginning of the fourth. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and the Scarlet Knights throw it away.
This Maryland defense is so ferocious, and it's funny, you see this Terp team at their best, and you kind of wonder how they're not 23-0 at the moment, because they're so physical, they're so tough to stop, and again, they do things like that with one of the best athletes in the country, in Kyla Charles, getting the run out quickly, and it seems like in a pass or two into the front court.
45-26. It's a 19-point lead. This is the largest lead of the game for Maryland. And Rutgers throws it away. Blair Watson flips it up ahead. Shanice Lewis backs it out. And Charisse Wilson all over her defensively. Charles. Jump shot, Watson doesn't go. And the rebound pulled down by Charisse Wilson. Transfer from Rhode Island. Done a nice job for Rutgers this year. Graduate student. Averaging just under 8 points per game.
Quiet game for her, though. 0 of 5 from the floor. No points. No assists either.
Garantes loses the dribble. Blair Watson really picked the pocket that time.
I don't think Rutgers has really ever gotten comfortable in front of this Maryland defense. You see 4 turnovers now for the Scarlet Knights within the last 4 minutes.
Frazier drives, and a blocking foul called on Rutgers. Oh, now they say offensive foul. So offensive foul on Maryland. That's their 4th team foul. Yeah, Scarlet Knights will toss it in, down by 19. That's a backcourt violation. Victoria Harris tossed it back to Sharice Wilson, who was not yet across the midcourt line.
I don't think Victoria Harris, it looked like she understood that she was just on top of the midcourt line because of the way she doesn't pivot here. But if you're Wilson, the only thing you can do at that point is try to slam your feet into the front court and reach back and yank that ball over the half-court line. Again, for Rutgers, not great execution.
Beautiful drive on the baseline. Shanice Lewis. And Maryland up by 21, 47-26. Cryer, bounce pass inside Garantes, and a foul will be called inside on Blair Watson. That's her first, and the 5th team foul on the Terrapins. It will send Arella Garantes to the line. Well, Coach Stringer, just one of those games, not too much she can do. Frustrated for sure. Garantes takes the free throw.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that Rutgers over the last game or two has gotten in a little bit of a rut, which happens. I mean, it's a long 4-month season, 4.5-month season if you go from the middle of November into the middle of March. And for Rutgers, you got to figure out how you're going to get out of this because you still got a bunch of Big Ten games left, a bunch of games you need to win to stay in that top realm of the Big Ten.
Maryland just breaking the press beautifully, and Brenda Fries loves the effort on the Maryland bench.
Yeah, there's been no shortage of it from the Terps. So athletic, and they've shown that all 3 quarters.
Garantes, beautiful fadeaway jumper. 49-30. Rutgers still trying to come up with a steal here on the full court pressure defense. Rutgers leads the Big Ten in steals, 10.1 per game, and leads the Big Ten in defense, 55.8. But the Terps, too tough today inside. Brianna Frazier with the bucket. Victoria Harris gets the shovel pass and draws the foul. She'll go to the line. A minute 17 remaining. Rutgers down by 21.
You see this, Carey's trying to front there, trying to front Brianna Frazier, but if you're Rutgers and the game plan is to try to front all the passes into the post, you've got to have some help behind you because if you miss out on the pass deflection like Carey did right there, you need somebody behind you who can provide that second level of defense.
Sarah Calhoun checks back into the game for Rutgers. And Sarah Vujicic checks in for Maryland, the junior out of Slovenia. Harris free throw, dances off the rim.
Wow. She hasn't been to the free throw line in a long while, but Harris, 20 of 21 at the stripe entering today, and she dismissed both.
95% on the year.
Yeah, and again, it's just emblematic of what the day's kind of been like for Rutgers. You still got 10 more minutes, though, for the Scarlet Knights, so you want to get something out of this game. You want to try to come back into this.
Garantes splits the defense and draws the foul, reach in on the Terrapins. And again, they're over the limit, so that sends Garantes to the line. Arella Garantes, transferred from Texas Tech, sat out all last year. In high school, was a first-team All-State player at Bellport, Long Island, scored over 2,000 points in her great career.
she's been a bright spot for Rutgers today, no doubt about it, especially considering there was a question of whether or not she'd be able to play even with that rolled ankle. But 15 points now for Orella, and efficient shooting, most specifically, 5 of 10. She's somebody who can be a bit of a volume shooter at points in the season, but 15 3/4 and at 50% shooting is very strong.
Kickball by Stacia Carey. 51-32. 19-point lead for the Terrapins. Maryland trying to win their 7th straight game. Oh, Garantes, beautiful play on the baseline to save that. Zippy Broughton living up to her name, zipping down the court, lays it in.
That's stylish from Zippy Broughton. And now Rutgers goes to the press, and Maryland in 2 passes is right out of it.
51-34. Deficit's been cut to 17. Final 5 seconds of the third quarter. Grazer open from the foul line, drills it. And that's how the third quarter comes to an end. So Maryland hops off the bench with a 19-point lead. We'll head to the fourth. All Terps here this afternoon. They're up 53-34. Back at the rack, we get ready for quarter number 4. Lou Brogner along with Dom Savino. And you take a look at the Maryland upcoming schedule. They'll be at home against Nebraska on Valentine's Day. And then on the road, it's 16th ranked Iowa, Minnesota, Purdue, and Illinois, all upcoming for the Terrapins.
You get your Sharpie out for that Iowa game because it could be a battle for first place again in the Big Ten.
Maryland looking to go 22-2 and 11-2 in the conference. Rutgers' upcoming schedule will be back on Thursday night. Ohio State comes in. The Buckeyes will be here on Thursday night, and then Rutgers hits the road for 2, Indiana and Michigan. And they'll wrap up the regular season with 2 at home here, Wisconsin and Minnesota.
Yeah, we'll spend Valentine's night together. We'll be here at the rack, 7 o'clock. That should be a fun one.
Sounds good to me, buddy.
Ohio State is a good team, so Rutgers is going to get challenged in that. So we'll be right here, 7 o'clock on Valentine's night.
Here's Sierra Calhoun. Stops, pops, off the rim. Rebound, Stacia Carey. Can't connect. Saved beautifully by Shakira Austin.
Wow. She's just so athletic and long, Shakira Austin is. That toe was about a foot away from the ground. She's fallen down to the floor and still able to get it out, and Maryland's able to come away with the turnover.
Great recruit for head coach Brenda Free. Shakira Austin ranked the 3rd best player in the nation coming out of high school. And a beautiful drive there by Sarah Vujicic, who puts it in. Everything going right for Maryland here this afternoon.
That's safe to say. Sarah Vujicic, she started to come on a little bit lately. You see right at the end of the play, too, she kind of bumped Broughton accidentally, and Zippy Broughton came up hobbling a little bit. But about these freshmen for Maryland, I mean, with Shakira Austin and Taylor Mikesell, one of the top rebounders and the top 3-point shooter in the conference, respectively, there may very well be 2 all Big Ten freshmen on this Maryland team.
Terrapins have a 22-point lead, their largest of the game. Victoria Harris dribbles it off her foot. Terrapins will bring it across. Just over a minute gone by in the fourth. Rutgers, unless they have the most unbelievable rally that you can think of here in the fourth quarter, will lose their 2nd straight game.
It would take quite something for Rutgers.
Remember, they lost to Minnesota on the road in their last contest. And this game's so different than the first time Rutgers and Maryland met back on December 31st, game which Rutgers won 73-65. This is Scarlet Knights' first top 25 road win since 2014. And Rutgers just played a terrific game that day. Maryland has just, let's be honest, they have just turned the tables here today.
Yeah, precisely. And talking to Brenda Fries before the game, she said, I wouldn't use the idea of revenge or vengeance for this game, but you got to figure for the players. There's some sort of that, because that Rutgers loss for Maryland is the Terps' only loss at home this season. For Rutgers, unless something drastic happens in the final 8-20, this will be Rutgers' first home loss at the rack. And Maryland, obviously you want to get that revenge, and also it helps out in the standings because it will even the season series out.
Really an oddity, right? I mean, Rutgers wins at Maryland. Maryland wins at Rutgers.
You know what that means? If we can get a third version of this in the Big Ten tournament, you can sign me up right now.
Right, on a neutral court. 56-34. And a foul called on the Scarlet Knights. Rutgers' loss would give them 3 in the conference. And Iowa also at 9-3. Maryland would go to 11-2. So those top 3 teams in pretty good shape. I mean, Purdue and Northwestern are both 7-5 at this point. They both have 5 losses in the Big Ten. And the call goes against Maryland, so it's Rutgers basketball.
Yeah, you take a look at the Big Ten standings. The top 3, that's kind of the one stratosphere with Maryland, Rutgers, Iowa. And then in the middle, at the start of play today, you've got 3 5-loss teams, 3 6-loss teams, and 2 7-loss teams. So you've got, what did I say? That's 8 teams. More than half the conference is within 2 games of the rest of the half. That's just incredible stuff. And over the final month of the conference slate, you're going to see a lot of exciting basketball because just like we've seen for the first month plus, there's going to be some teams who come out of games with wins you would have never imagined they could, and there'll be some teams who lose games you would never expect.
Maryland breaks the pressure. Terrapins bring it up. They have a 22-point lead. Blair Watson tosses it in, and drawing the foul is Shakira Austin, and she will go to the line. Fouls on Stacia Carey, that's her 3rd. So Shakira Austin at the line. 6'5" freshman out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Just under 9 points per game, but over 10 rebounds per contest. 5-time Freshman of the Week this year in the Big Ten.
I would say pretty deserving considering the way she's muscled people off the glass all season.
Misses both free throws, and Garantes pulls down the rebound. RU brings it up. Scarlet Knights down by 22. Giles, nowhere to go. Maryland still tough defense here. Inside carry, nice move by Stacia Carey. Got around Shakira Austin. 56-36, 20-point differential.
Uh-oh. CC Cryer is slow to get up.
Wide open off the mark was Vujacic, and here comes Rutgers on the run. Wilson. CC Cryer hobbling out there.
Yeah, there was a little contact as Rutgers tried to press off the Maryland inbounds. She went down. I didn't quite see what happened and was slow to get up, and then once she did, she was kind of skipping around on one leg.
Sharice Wilson trying to drive against 3 defenders, and a whistle prior to the shot. That'll be a foul on Maryland inside. 13th foul on the Terrapins here in the 4th. Noga Peleg-Pelk comes in. Mael Giles out. Charles and Frazier check in for Maryland. Wilson, cross court. CC Cryer moved quickly to get that one.
I saw her tying her shoes during that timeout, so I wonder if it was a little roll of an ankle or something like that, and just trying to make things tighter to keep everything in place.
Pops a 3 off the rim.
Rutgers 1 of 13 from behind the arc in this one. That lone 3 came from Morella Garantes back in the first half.
Nice play by Stacia Carey. Got in the passing lane, knocked it away. And CC Cryer brings it across. There's Garantes and a foul called on Rutgers. They call a moving pick on Sharice Wilson. That's her 3rd. 4th team foul on the Scarlet Knights. Well, Rutgers wants to finish strong. They have Ohio State coming in here on Thursday night. And as you mentioned, Dom, a lot of basketball to be played. That game against Ohio State becomes an important game now. as that'll be a foul on Rutgers reaching in. But that game against the Buckeyes becomes important, A, because Rutgers will be trying to end a 2-game losing streak, but B, also the next 2 games after that are on the road. So Rutgers will be in need of a win, I think it's safe to say, Thursday night.
100%. And again, this is an Ohio State team that very young. They graduated Kelsey Mitchell, graduated a couple of seniors. Somebody like Sierra Calhoun transferring to Rutgers within the conference as a grad transfer. But you got to credit them. Ohio State has been pretty decent in the conference. Entering today against Iowa, they're 6-6 in conference at the start of play today.
Stephanie Jones hit both free throws, and Rutgers head coach C. Vivian Stringer calls it timeout. Scarlet Knights will talk it over. 5 minutes, 26 seconds remaining, fourth quarter. All Maryland today on this Sunday afternoon. Terrapins up by 22. On this Sunday afternoon, Rutgers trailing by 22, 58-36. Scarlet Knights with 5 minutes and 26 seconds looking to whittle down that deficit and end this game on a positive note with Ohio State coming in here on Thursday night. Rutgers at 17-5. Loss here would drop them to 17-6. And they'll have 6 games remaining after this one. 3 on the road, 3 here at home. And traveling is the call.
Won't be easy sledding in the Big Ten for Rutgers, no doubt about it. But you take a look back, you got to look back to the end of November, I would say, for Rutgers. You find that stretch where Rutgers lost 3 of 4, lost 2 games in Vancouver, and then at Virginia Tech in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. Rutgers has been through a little bit of a skid before, but you got to pull yourself out of it because there's a lot of meaningful basketball left. Rutgers, at the very least, would like to shore up a top 4 spot in the Big Ten tournament and get a double bye, but you got to do that with some more wins.
And that'll be a shot clock violation. So Rutgers, good defensive effort on that sequence. 4:35 left in the fourth. Cryer flips it up to Sharice Wilson. Here's Garantes, top of the key.
Again, shot clock down. That's 5.
Inside 5 now. Garantes launches a 3 and got it. Arella Garantes pops a 3. 58-39. Inside 4 minutes left.
By far, if you're looking at the headline biggest bright spot for Rutgers, Arella Garantes. 18 points, 6 of 12 shooting. She's got both of Rutgers' made threes as well.
She's got nearly half of Rutgers' total point output.
Yeah, 100% correct. Rutgers is 2 of 14 behind the arc, by the way. So for Garantes to be healthy to come back and do something like this is helpful, and as we look forward for Rutgers, they will need more of that from her.
Nice drive on the baseline. Kyla Charles.
This has kind of become an ordinary game for Kyla Charles. 17, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, which is just comical to me considering how solid that stat line is. She's just incredible.
CC Cryer flips outside Wilson. 5 on the shot clock. Garantes thinking about a 3, loses the dribble, gets it back, stops, pops, and hits.
And hanging in the air to knock down the 10-footer.
Garantes with 20. 3 minutes left.
I think that ankle's okay.
Remember, she did not start this game. So this is all off the bench today. There's a nice fadeaway jumper, but off the mark by Frazier. 19-point deficit for the Scarlet Knights. CC Cryer drives, flips it outside, offensive foul.
Easy call. Not been Cryer's best game. 2 points, but for her, you look at some of the other stats. You look at the assist to turnover ratio. 1 assist, 5 turnovers now. And right now for Cryer, no steals. Somebody who is tops on the team and would be among the best in the country if she had played the full season in steals per game. Does not have a steal for the first time all season right now.
Leads the Scarlet Knights in steals and assists. Zippy Broughton, shovel pass. Here's CC. Dishes inside and a reach-in foul on Maryland. That's the Terps' 4th team foul. So Rutgers not shooting yet. They'll throw in on the baseline. 2:05 left in the game. Substitution for Maryland, Sarah Myers, 6-foot junior, checks into the game. Gets a chance to get out there. And a foul underneath on the Terrapins. This will send Rutgers to the line.
I like that inbounds play. The quick lob right in front, especially considering Frazier's got her back to the ball. Allows Carey to get vertical and go straight up to the rim. Carey 9 points, 4 of 10 shooting, 6 rebounds, but 3 fouls and 4 turnovers on no assists for Carey.
So Stacia at the line. Stacia Carey's had some big games this year. We mentioned that 16-point game against Minnesota, 18 against Maryland earlier this year. She had 30 points against Michigan State.
She was outstanding that afternoon. But the one thing for Carey kind of overall is she's gotten more consistent in Big Ten play. Now, this will obviously be among the lower half of her performances, although she is in double figures. But to consistently be in double figures, that was not something we saw from her over her first season and a half.
And the second free throw dances off the rim. That might be a lane violation on Maryland.
Yeah,
so
Shakira Austin.
She'll get another. Mael Giles checks in. Aurelia Garantes comes out. Played a terrific game.
She did. 20 points on 7 of 13 shooting. That's the final line for Garantes. She was 2 of 2 from deep as well, which is about as much as you can ask for from Garantes.
Stolen by Broughton. Puts it up and draws the foul.
Zippy Broughton, again, as we try to think of things where Rutgers going forward is going to build, Zippy Broughton has continued to develop throughout this season, and don't make any bones about it. She's definitely had her share of freshman struggles, but as of late, she's gotten some more playing time, and she's been able to shine because of it.
Zippy, the Gatorade and USA Today Player of the Year out of the state of Alabama, coming to Rutgers.
I remember talking to her before the season started, and she had said that with C. Vivian Stringer as such a demanding head coach, it felt like she couldn't do anything correct as she's able to force the 10-second call. But she said, it feels like I can't dribble right, I don't know how to shoot, I don't know how to pass, but that's the adjustment when you get to college for freshmen, is figuring out all of those things, and she's on her way.
Timeout called, little 30-second timeout here, so we'll keep it right here. Minute 51 remaining here in the ball game, and Rutgers down by 16. It's 60-44. Again, Scarlet Knights trying to end the game on an up note. You can see, look at Coach Brenda Fries. You would never know that her team is up and playing one of their best games of the season. She's not happy with the way they have played over the last 2 minutes. And that picture right there is why Maryland is ranked 10th in the nation.
And why Maryland has been consistently one of the best teams in the country since Brenda Fries showed up. She expects a high level of competition from her players. We saw Rutgers was able to force a turnover or two, get a couple of baskets, draw some fouls in the paint. That is not what Maryland is about, and she wants her Terps to finish it on a high note, and so much so that after it seemed like Blair Watson was going to get to sit the final few minutes on the bench, Blair Watson's now at the scorer's table, and she's going to come in, another starter, to try to get Maryland to close this game out well.
Maryland looking to win their 7th straight They'll be at home against Nebraska on Thursday night, but then big game on the road at Iowa. Stacia Carey puts it up, can't score, gets it back, and scores. No quit in Stacia Carey. And it's a 14-point game. Rutgers hasn't been this close in quite some time.
I would say since the third quarter.
And another timeout by Maryland. And the Terps will talk it over with 1:21 remaining. It's another 30-second timeout. And again, Coach Brenda Fries delivering a message to her Terps.
Yeah, the last time Rutgers was within 14 in this game, you've got to go all the way back to the middle of the third quarter. And you see the coaching staff getting in saying, hey, because for Maryland, this is a teaching moment, the same way it is for Rutgers. For Maryland, it could very well be in a month from now or in a week or two where you're in a tight game down the stretch and you need to finish strong because it's a one-basket game instead of a 14-point game. And those are the sorts of things that coaches at all levels, especially the elite coaches like Brenda Fries and C. Vivian Stringer, hammer into their team because you've got to practice. Everybody says, you got to practice the way you play. Well, you got to close the game out in a 14-point game the same way you'd close it out in a 2-point game.
Coach Fries simply wants her team to keep the pedal to the metal here, right to the end. Rutgers comes up with the steal, and no quit in the Scarlet Knights. Got to like the way Rutgers has played this fourth quarter. Inside Carey, puts it up and draws the foul. Stops the clock with 57 seconds left. Got a chance to cut it to 12 here.
Almost makes you say, hey, where was this a couple of minutes ago or a couple quarters ago? But the one thing that Rutgers has been able to do is capitalize. Maryland kind of took its foot off the gas pedal. You see it all the time in basketball, and the other team identifies that and says, hey, we've still got time to play in this game. We're going to continue to play until the buzzer sounds.
Stacia Carey misses the first. She'll get another. Stacia Carey, great athlete. Of course, you know about her basketball prowess. 1,000 points in her collegiate career. Was an honorable mention All-Big Ten player. In high school, she was an outstanding volleyball player as well. Berea Mid-Park High School in Cleveland.
It's funny, I saw watching the Rutgers basketball story, the weekly episode series that Rutgers puts out. Stacia Carey said she didn't start playing organized basketball until 7th grade. She was shooting around at an open gym, and a local AAU coach in her hometown of Cleveland saw her play, was impressed, asked her to try out. She did, made the team, and here she is now at Rutgers.
C.C. Cryer will inbound. Carey missed both free throws. Here's Pele Pelk. Outside Giles for three. Actually, it was Takia Mack who took that shot. Mack's almost coming up with a steal. And a reach-in foul on the Scarlet Knights. That'll be on Giles. With 38.6 seconds remaining. And Taylor Mikesell to shoot two. Looking up at this big crowd here at the rack. You know what's impressive? Almost no one has left. They have stayed to the very end.
This is a hungry fan base. They like to see their team succeed. Rutgers is having one of its most successful seasons in the last 5 or 10 years right now. And a good crowd on hand to watch the game, although the Scarlet Knights didn't have their best performance.
Timeout called by Rutgers. Coach Stringer, again a teaching moment with 38 seconds remaining. And her team down by 16, 62-46.
Man, how many teaching moments has C. Vivian Stringer had in her 48-year career? I saw on Twitter, I think it was also from the Rutgers basketball story, they outlined Coach Stringer's coaching tree. 35 different former players, staff members, managers at all three of her stops at Cheney State, at Iowa, and now at Rutgers, who have gone on to be head coaches, assistant coaches elsewhere, play professionally. It's pretty immense when you see the visual of her coaching tree to see what one woman has been able to do and how many lives she's impacted.
You know what the most impressive factoid is about Coach Stringer? We game in and game out, talk about all these wins and all her accomplishments. She is 607 games above 500.
Wow. That's incredible.
If you think about that, that's unbelievable.
600 and whatever games above average. Above 500. That's impressive.
Ten seconds left. Maryland, a big win on the road. They have come into the rack and decisively, right from the get-go, have put this one in the win column. Rutgers will try to regroup and get ready for Ohio State on Thursday night. Final 2 seconds. Haley Pelk, bounce pass, inside carry, lays it in, basket is good, ball game is over. Maryland with a big win on the road. They defeat Rutgers 62-48. And as we said, right from the opening tip, all Terps today.
It basically was. It's funny now, Rutgers loses by 14. That was what Rutgers was outscored by in that first quarter. 18-4, Maryland went on top in the opening quarter, and the Scarlet Knights could never truly regroup. And in a battle for first place in the Big Ten, Maryland, from the opening tip, was ready to go and was able to capitalize on that.
So Maryland improves to 22-2, 11-2 in the Big Ten. Rutgers drops to 17-6, 9-3 in the conference. Scarlet Knights will get ready for Ohio State, and we'll be back here on Thursday night when the Buckeyes come to town.
Yeah, the name of the game